We're going to look today at the high leg escape from underneath the bottom of cross side. This is an incredibly valuable addition to your standard escapes like the knee elbow escape and the kipping escape because it puts a barrier between you and your partner. There are a couple of obstacles we have to overcome, so we'll talk about what those are. And then we're going to talk about the most common attack from the bottom position out of the high leg, which is the half-jujigatame, and the concept of wrist recovery when we're not able to control our partner's arm sufficiently. All right, when we do this technique, we start in the bottom of the cross-side position here. And when we show this technique, a lot of times what people struggle with is getting their leg in front of their partner's head. Because ultimately what I need to be able to do here is I need to be able to bring my legs up into this good position here, right? Capturing the partner's head with the cross-face leg, the inside knee is wedging our partner's arm here to stabilize the elbow, and then we've got finishes out of this position here for the juji, okay? A couple of other things as we transition. But nothing can happen with the high leg until you get your leg high enough, until you get your leg over your partner's head. So the main problem that we face from here is the problem of our head position here. So until we can get our head inside this cross-face arm, we can't do anything. Rotate slightly. So he's in a good position. He has a cross face and an underhook. We're going to start with a frame. Then we're going to give a bridge. When we give the bridge, we got to move our partner's head so that we can take our head inside. If you just bridge with your hips here, you'll notice that his head doesn't move very much. So we have to be able to give a bridge that moves our partner's head here. So we're over our shoulder. That's going to help to move the head. When we move the head, it's going to loosen the cross face a little. Then we can slip our head to the inside. It's going to look like this. Plant, bridge, slip the head inside. Now that your head's on the inside, you're going to be able to fire your legs up. Your knees come towards your chest. Okay? Sit up for a sec. So it's just like I'm doing a backwards roll, like I'm rolling backwards here. We want to bring our knees to our chest if we're going to roll backwards. Okay? The only difference is we have the impediment of our partner in the way. So we're going to think about bringing our inside knee towards our elbow on the inside position. The other leg is going to trace a short arc around our partner's head so that we can capture and control like this. Now you can see what's happened. His underhook arm is now trapped where he left it. We're going to secure this and close our elbow. So your elbow closes, it keeps your partner's wrist trapped, and now you have the beginnings of a Lat Juji. Okay, his arm is trapped in my lat. We're going to drive the heel down, the inside knee wedging, so it's where knees are coming together. From here, if you need a little bit of extra support, you can hold your partner's tricep, all right? And sometimes his arm is here anyway. We're gonna bridge our hips up, and now if your partner stays in this position, you can simply close, give a bridge, and there's your finish for the Lat Juji, right? And what you'll find is that the stronger and the tighter people are when they're holding on here, the worse it gets for them, all right? If he's really, really insistent on holding on to that underhook because he doesn't want to give up the pin, he doesn't want to give up the position, but my legs are in the way, he'll find that his arm gets extended very quickly because I'm using my hips to drive up and his head gets taken out of position. You'll get savvier people who start to shorten their arm, and then you'll lose the control over your partner's wrist. And when this happens, we have to go after our partner's wrist. This is what we call wrist recovery. We've got to recover our partner's wrist so they're not able to roll out. Here's a common scenario. Okay. You get good at the high leg, you give your bridge, you escape your head, you fire your legs up here. And either because you take your partner over, right, or because they commit themselves to the mat, something like this happens. You're driving and your partner's shoulder hits the mat here on this side. Rotate slightly. So you're landing in a juji, half-jujigatame that is, so one leg is tucked inside, it's not over the back, and then you have your partner's arm underneath here. And then as your partner's transitioning, everything loosens up. His shoulder's loose, his wrist is a little loose because you're sitting up, and then he's able to take this hand and turn it palm down, or thumb down rather. Okay, and now out of this, he hits one of the most common escapes out of the half juji, and even out of the full juji, called, some people call it the hitchhiker escape, where your partner turns their thumb down, starts to rotate away, and now this strong arm control that you had disappears. Their elbow turns towards the ceiling, they're gone. Okay, so let's look at that from this angle now. We have our frame, we have our bridge, we move the head, we fire our legs up, we capture, we settle our partner down, we have all the intentions of finishing, and we're losing the wrist. What's happening is your partner's wrist is rotating in such a way where your wedge no longer holds your partner's elbow where it needs to be. Partner's elbow, the pit of the elbow needs to be facing the ceiling, right, more or less, and the elbow line has to be in front of your hips. When he starts to turn his wrist down, his elbow, the angle changes. Now from here, he can begin the process of rotating. So when we go for wrist recovery, we anticipate this rotation, we start to feel it, and we take our outside arm, go ahead, turn down here, we take our outside arm and we control our partner's hand. So even though the thumb is down, our four fingers cover the outside of our partner's wrist. When he goes to roll, we draw that arm back where it came from. So we take the arm from this side of our body, the head side, to the leg side. Now we hold it. When he goes to complete his escape, he finds he's stuck. We go two hands to our partner's wrists, knees are controlling, hips driving up, and you have a very strong version of the Juji. You had to recover your partner's wrist from under your armpit and bring it across to the proper side. In this case, his right arm, my right hip, my right shoulder. Okay, so once again. 1, 2, 3, we fire everything up. Your partner commits himself to the floor. We're at risk of this turnout. So we catch the wrist, we bring it back where it came from, we secure it on this side, and now we have the strong finish, okay? So this is an example of wrist recovery. We have another scenario out of the high leg with the Juji where we need to recover the wrist once again. So in a case like this, we hit the same escape, and we find that instead of rolling out, you're with a stronger person. Maybe you feel like, as you can see here, my knee is not quite high enough. He's starting to posture up. And especially when we're controlling this lat grip here, as your partner starts to posture up, okay, he doesn't have to like fully straighten the arm. He can just kind of bring his head up, come back again. Here, you'll find that you may lose your partner's wrist in the process as they start to posture, as more movement takes place, okay? So as we feel him posturing here, we're going to go back again and we're going to recover the wrist. So here's wrist recovery part 2. The arm is slipping or you feel like you're losing, you're going to control with your opposite hand right by your partner's wrist, second hand comes on, and then we move the arm back across. The basic rule for Jujigatame, half Juji, full Juji, 3/4 Juji is when we have our partner's right arm, we want to move it across our right arm. And here we go, ready to rock. So once again, we fire the legs up in a position, boom, up. Capture, he's posturing. If we stay here, we run the risk of the arm slipping, he starts to lock his hands, and now we're done, okay? So as we're losing it and he wants to bring this hand into play, we control the wrist. Even if he locks hands here, he finds that because of our angle with our leg across and our two knees pinching here, we've got good control, all right? Even when his hands are locked here, he'll still tap, okay? So we have a bunch of things embedded in today's video. One of them is the idea of the high leg escape, the other is the Lat Juji, and then finally wrist recovery. All right, we really jammed it in here for everybody. This probably should have been 4 videos, but instead it's 1. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. See you soon.